Hey you! Yeah, you. Have you ever wanted to stomp your way to victory? Well, this is how I did it. So here's how you can too. Using the same tactic that I used in the Ice Spear challenge run, I used the Claymore Harpoon for its affinity with magic, and the Spellblade armor set for the increase in spell damage. And then taking a detour to grab the Blessed Blue Dew Tally for the passive F regen. Running up the hill, I gate crash this party to test out my stomps, and immediately get my butt handed to me. Yeah, I need to level myself up a bit, so I spend some time running around and grabbing some Skadoodoo fragments. I get stepped on by the golem, then pummeled down by his friend. Trying to do some parkour in the Mort runes, leading to me swan diving to my death. Let's try that again. This time going down the intended path, down this hole, and getting ambushed by two doggos. My stomps do barely any damage, so I give them the runaround till they get bored, and I get lost in the caves. Climbing up the ladder in Bonnie Village, I grab the Old Mother gesture for later, then I return to Mort runes, trying to find where I need to go, and falling to my death once more. Turns out it was here all along! Finding the Shattered Stone Tally that increases the potency of kick and stomp skills by 10%, so it's essential for this run. Time to go gather some upgrade materials. So let's start off with this Rune Forge. The golem steps up to me and I stomp my foot down in retaliation, but it does barely any damage, so I excuse myself from this situation, running around collecting smithing stones and somber stones, whilst avoiding everything else. Yoinking on a lever, bringing down the giant pillar, jumping off at the wrong time, and I leap back onto it, catching it with my toes, but they're not strong enough to hold my weight. Running up once more, this time jumping off at the correct spot, allowing me to exit the forge. Time for the next one, the Forge of Starfall Past. This one started off pretty chill, but a narrow hallway is up. I try running past the internal conflict, but I still get hit by some strays. With another forge completed, I still lack some upgrade materials, so let's head to the final one. Tayloo's Rune Forge. These forges are enormous, so all it takes is one wrong turn to miss out on some parts. And adding the fact that there are enemies and my inability to damage them, you get one heck of a fun time. Picking up enough resources to finally upgrade my weapon, I head back to Mort runes for another damage test. There we go, finally some decent damage, and it's not even at max strength yet. Heading to the gravesite plains and two-stepping on some ghosts. Running into Castle Ensis, dodging some enemies, and beelining to the Hammer Bro, which I need to kill for some more upgrades. A couple of ground pounds, then I head up the lift for the safety grace, then heading back down to face him. A couple of stomps later and he falls, but only drops his armor, not what I came for. So let's try that again. Okay, third time's the charm. He definitely dropped something that time, but I got caught under the lift, so I have no way of grabbing it. Trying to fight him once again gets me killed, and on the final attempt he drops a smithing 5. At least he does drop stones, but not consistently enough to be efficient. So I cut my losses and move on. Time to face my first boss, which I know pretty well by now, Rellana. I stomp, dodge, and get a frost proc, but her twin blades slice through me. Me being used to aggressively attacking, I need to learn how to be more deliberate with my attacks. So I head to the graveside plains, running past the creepy crawlies, and making a few friends along the way, and running across some rooftops as some birds hunt me down and slash me into ribbons. I run on the rooftops again, this time going on the offensive and stomping at the birds to shoot them into another plane. His friends didn't like that, but I stomped my way past them, hugging the left wall to get past this horned warrior, who whips around and slashes me down in a second. How is he so fast with it? With birds clawing at my back, I managed to get past him this time, making it all the way to the top of the tower with 2 fans. Okay guys, one at a time please. There we go, that wasn't so hard. So let's try a boss instead. My stomps do a considerable amount of damage, so as long as I dodge and stay out of his way, I can slowly but surely take him down. He huffs and puffs at me, and I get a frost proc. Moving on to his sparks phase, which has me rolling right into each attack. What a tactic! A sliver of health left, and I'm caught beneath him, heading to a shocking end. Removing some clothing to go into light load, I head in again. This time I can dodge much faster and keep stomping at him, nicking at his health bar. Sparks begin to fly, and I roll out of their way. Back to wind, and he's whirling tornadoes at me as I dodge, but he leaps at me, and I'm down once more. On my next attempt, I got him down to half health, so it was going well. The only issue was that my FP was not being regen fast enough, to keep up with my attacks. So I gave myself some floss and went in again. He's at half health and it's frost against frost. It's not looking great, but I keep fighting. He launches at me and kills me with my future attack. Pausing my attempts, trying my luck with the Golden Hippo instead. Golden Hippo. I dodge his gaping mouth and stomp at him as he slams his head down on top of me a couple of times. His spikes come out and each attack has me barely hanging on till he turns me into a chew toy and doubles down by flinging his spikes at me as he spits me out. This one seems more doable though, so I try again. Second attempt was going so well, I hadn't even used a healing floss till he chomps on me mid-stomp and follows it up with some head slams.
A few minutes later.
Getting some consistent frost procs, and finally getting the timing down, I stand victorious. Leveling up, I head back to the Mort Ruins for another damage test. Nice! I can now one-tap these dudes. So back to Belleron to dance with the beast. Turns out this dude is some kind of elemental avatar, and he's mastered them all as he keeps quick shifting between the elements. But after dodging his lightning show, and giving one final stomp, the beast goes down, rewarding me with the first remembrance of this challenge run. Heading to Roundtable for a chat with Enya and acquiring the beast's frost stomp. Choosing magic as an affinity, I place it onto my harpoon. Back to Mort Runes, you guessed it, for another damage test. These poor souls must quake when they hear me running at them. Looking at all that damage, I'll take a hit to the back for sure. Sprinting through the Shadow Keep, dropping down here for a little sneaky shortcut, and climbing down this ladder, rolling into this wall to enter the hidden corridor, and hopping into this coffin. Down we go. Some parkour gets me into the ruins of Auntie, and I grab the stone sheath sword from this tombstone. This might be useful for a future challenge run. Running across some cliffs, I get grabbed for a smooch. His friend gets jealous, and it turns deadly. Heading into the Eastern Nameless Mausoleum to face Rakshasa. I manage to do some damage, but her katana is sharp and deadly. I fall pretty quickly. Let's try that again. This time doing much better, as long as I stay out of reach. She does heal, but I keep stomping till my FP runs out, and it turns into me just rolling and dodging. Now that I finally noticed that this stomp is a wave, whilst the other one dealt damage when the enemy stood in the frost, I managed to get her down to half health, but as I back up to heal, her katana pierces right through me. With my current damage output, I hit pause. So I jump down some ledges to deal with some hippos. There goes one. I travel back to the Grace to reset my FP, and whilst I'm there, I switch my harpoon to the cold affinity. Back down we go, and manage to get the frost proc on the second hippo. He retaliates by chewing on me, but I slay him, running blindly into the dark light catacombs, right into a sorcerer. Whoops. Second time around, I stomp the ground in front of him, and giving him a chilly death. Making a beeline down to the Inquisitor, I definitely have his attack pattern memorized, so he is easy to dodge. I corner him and get a frost proc. I take a hit and he teleports away. His friends are also clingy and annoying. Like, please, leave me alone. I'm not here for you. I'm also out of FP, so time to play the dodging game. Right as the big ghost slammed onto me. At this point, I begin questioning whether the boost in damage with this stomp is better. Another body slam by the Tick Ghoul takes me out. On my third attempt, I switch back to the Hoarfrost Stomp, using the cold affinity to see the difference in damage. They practically do the same amount of damage, the only difference is that this one requires less FP, meaning I can attack more. This proves to do the trick and I manage to take him down pretty easily. Feeling confident, I head back to Rellana to test out the Beast Stomp on her. The Dodge Queen evades most of my attacks, but less so than the other Stomp, so I manage to do some damage. I get a Frost proc, the Sovereignty comes out, and I decide to play Keep Away while regenerating some FP, as she slowly walks up to me. She's down to phase 2, but she cuts me down pretty swiftly. Okay, I still can't deal with her for the time being, but I'm getting there. Next thing I do is switch the affinity to magic to see if it still managed to get a Frost proc, which turns out it does. This is great since the magic affinity has better scaling. Heading to Bonnie Village, running across some bridges, and running into the Cathedral of Manus for a quick chat. Some rooftop parkour into the church district, and then it's a battle of the elements as I freeze Flame Boy, confidently jumping right into the water. I really hate this place. At least I managed to grab the fragment, and finally making it into the storehouse to collect the grace. Time for the super long awkward lift. Running across the bridge and collecting Marika's rune for some levels. Time to meet the thorny prick, Skidoo the Avatar. Sticking close to the roots, I stomp my way to some good initial damage. Then I get pierced a couple of times and struck by its blasts. Back up to heal, then stomping back in, getting some good damage when it slams its face down. Phase 2 is more aggressive and I'm dodging as it fires waves of thorns at me. It charges at me and I dodge, waiting for my FP to regen. Sadly not fast enough and I'm caught beneath it as it pierces me with thorns. Between streams I level up a bit, which seems to have helped. I do way more damage now and my FP doesn't disappear with one stomp. Phase 1 is over pretty quickly. Sadly I can't riposte, as that would be using the blade, while sadly stomping does no damage currently, so it's at full health once again. I keep mistiming my stomps and end up doing no damage, but it's definitely hurting me. What is going on? I get pierced, rolled over, and I die. Switching the affinity to cold since the prick is immune to magic, and trying once more. Turns out the stomp is also chargeable. How did I not notice till now? Look at that damage. Unfortunately, the charge animation takes a long time, meaning I end up getting hit mid-animation a couple of times, but the damage is worth it. This attempt was going so well, until I look at my remaining healing flasks. At least I'd almost made it to phase 3 this time. Pressing pause on that, let's head back to Rellana. I alternate between charged and non-charged attacks based on the timing and her vicinity. The Sovereignty comes out and I get a frost proc. She's at half health and ignites her blades. We're dancing around the arena and trading blows. She drops some moon drops and I charge in as she comes back down. She's swinging wildly, but 2 final stomps and some acrobatic dodges. She falls. God, I love this game. Going back to the Specimen Storehouse and heading straight down the lift to the statue where I emote, then head into the fight with Commander Stabby Stomps, Commander Gaius. I get a small scratch on his health bar, then he rolls over me like a piece of dough, and sticking to his namesake, stabbing and stomping me to death. On my second attempt, I try using charge attacks, which seems to work much better. I keep stomping at him, till he's down to phase 2. I try to stick to safe charge attacks, since he hits like a truck and I don't want to get caught mid-healing animation. So I often go for some cheeky attacks when he turns his back to me. I get a frost proc, dodging a face kick, he runs off, then charges at me. I charge up an attack, and he's a stomp away from death. But with 2 quick head slams, that great run comes to an end. A few painful attempts later, I manage to stomp my way to victory. Heading to the Skadudu Chalice to grab some fragments, running through the finger runes of Dio, being face-sucked by this worm, getting vommed on, plus a laser to the face. Now that's what you call overkill! Finally making it down to the finger, I give it a good lungful of air, getting the Cerulean Sea Tally, which boosts FP restoration from my flasks. Traveling to the Cerulean Coast, where I jump down into this pit and into the stone coffin fissure, trying to dodge the caterpillars as I get stalked by a bird. Proves to be an impossible task. Then the lasers zero in on me and I'm turned to dust. What the heck? Let me pause, Gandalf.
A few minutes later.
Finally making it through. The enemies are extra aggressive for some reason in this run, including this ghostly. I try to dodge, but he's not having it. And as I'm hanging on the edge, he gives me the final push and I fall off. But I won't go down alone! Onto the head we go, and Geronimo! Putrescent Knight. Now this fight is a bit problematic, considering that this boyo is resistant to magic and immune to frostbite. My whole shtick. But I do get 2 stomps in that take a chunk of his health before he cleaves me in 2. Going in again, this time timing my dodge is much better. He's very aggressive, so the best window I have is when he's going onto his horse. It's a slow process and I almost had him. One more stomp could have taken him out, but he slams his cleaver down onto me too many times again. I try playing it more aggressively, going in for more attacks, and dodging the majority of his. Except for his damn annoying delayed attacks, which seem to find me every time. One more stomp sends him back into the pit he crawled out of. Time to take Torrent for a quick dip, entering the finger runes of Rhea, blowing onto this finger as the creepers try to take me out. Collecting the Crimson Sea Tally, which boosts HP restoration from flasks. Then I find myself back at the Cathedral of Manus for a chat, collecting his gifts, sitting at the grace, and voila, he's gone. Opening the passage and sliding down the ladder into the finger runes of Mir, stomping at Anna, trying to steer clear of her sharp claws, and then down she goes, blowing into one last finger, and I'm suddenly faced with Mother Dearest, Mother of Fingers. She has some attacks which are super fast, meaning I can barely lift my foot for a stomp before she's slamming down onto me. But I keep trying, getting her between attacks as she tries to flick me away, till she finger taps me to death. This might be tricky. On my second attempt, I keep fighting back, even managing to get a frost proc. I get hit by her phase change blast, but I get back up. In this phase, I found the best attack window is after her spin attack. When she lands close enough, I charge up my attack and stomp at her. She goes up and I'm a little too close as she spins at me. I try a couple more attempts, then pause. I need better redder armor. Yep, she's still a. Trying my best to stay far away, I stomp between attacks and save up my flasks until I'm at the brink of death. I charge up my attacks as she's approaching and stomp when she's close. I hit her mid-heal, so she gets a minor regen. I back away, letting her come to me, and I stomp. On the brink of death, she leaps at me, landing on my sharp, cold stalagmites. And she's finally vanquished. I equip a mixture of armor. Her chest piece, her greaves, paired with the spellblade hat and gloves. Time to return to that prickly situation. I can now tank its damage, whilst I erase its health bar. Once again, I find myself in phase 3 with one flask. It explodes and I charge in for an attack. I charge up another stomp, then back away, but its swinging arm still finds me. On my next attempt, I make it back to phase 3, this time with 4 flasks. That's a little bit better, I guess. Alright, I'm back down to 1 flask. It explodes, I heal, then charge in. Next, I choose to stay away. It does a blast attack and I head in for maximum damage. I fail a dodge and I'm barely hanging on, but I run in. I charge up and I barely do any damage. Feeling defeated, I go for one more stomp. It lands and it's dead, taking me out with it. Yo, wait! Come on, yo! Now I run through this rot-infested area to fight the rot goddess herself. I do some decent damage, but she retaliates tenfold. I get rotted and slashed a couple of times, leading to my second attempt, where a quick frost proc sends her to phase 2. As tradition by now, I'm down to 1 flask. I stomp, getting another frost proc, and she's barely hanging on. I back up, heal, as she slashes me with her tail and her sword. I stomp in for the kill, stomping as I stand victorious once again. Next up on my journey is the Abyssal Woods. Trying to sneak past the untouchables? Whew, that was way too close. And safely making it to Midra's Mancy. Rolling into this painting, I go on a whole precarious adventure, dodging some ghosts, pulling a lever, and some shelf jumping. I finally make it to the Screamer, Midra. I stomp at the madman, he leaps at me, giving me some unwanted kisses. 2 more stomps and we're in the actual battle. It's ice versus flames. My charge stomps inflict some decent damage. With this guy, it's all about timing the attacks so that I can find the perfect opportunity to land a charge stomp. A quarter of his health is gone and I back up, but his great sword has too big of a reach. On my second attempt, I manage to kill the yapper before he inflicts his madness. But I miss a dodge with the frenzied flame as he spins at me. After 5 attempts without reaching the second phase, I pause, returning to the specimen storehouse and going on for another adventure, running across some statues, pushing this door open as this buddy boy tries to grab my attention. The narrow stairwell becomes a battle of ice and fire, but he goes down and I push it open. Messmer. The fight starts off perfectly, with Snake Boy landing right on top of me, and I barely get a hit in, before he turns me into a pincushion. Breathing in some copium that it was just a bad start, this time managing to get him down to a quarter of his health before his snakes bring me to my knees. I give it 3 attempts and then pause. Just like last time, I did some farming between streams to level myself up. I equip Rashaka's full armor set for the damage boost, and then go back in. The damage difference is astonishing, and I even managed to get a frost in. Then he retaliates by turning me into a flame kebab. I tank it and get back up. Second phase and I'm dodging snakes all around the arena. Running in close to get a stomp, then back to running. 1 hit away, and as the snake comes out, I go for it. Running at him, raising my foot high, up in the air, and slamming down, turning him into dust. Traveling back to the Graveside Plains, the ancient dragon man invader claws are nothing compared to my stomps, and he goes down in 2 hits. I run into the dragon's pit and take a leap of faith, coming face to face with the actual ancient dragon man. My stomps are eating away at his health, preferring to tank his attack by sticking close to him. Managing to get a frost proc, he stands no chance against my cold souls. The ancient dragon man becoming the ancient dustpan, killing the final hippo of the run and turning into a mountain goat for a bit. I make my way up the jagged peak to reach the hard to hit boy, Big Boy Bayle. Running up beneath him and stomping at his claws, I barely scratch at his health, so this should be good. Wait, what? I'm actually managing? Progress is slow, but I keep stomping. He goes into phase 2, shooting up into the sky, casting his inferno. I get caught in his lava, but it actually helps me get right below him. He breathes fire and creating lightning storms, hitting me over and over again. Please, Bayle, be gentle. I'm just a wee little baby. He shoots up into the sky once more. I don't manage to dodge in time, getting engulfed in flames, turning me into a charged chicken.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I was out for blood. I stood beneath him, slamming my foot down in full tantrum mode. Over and over, as he tries to bake me into a crisp, I slam and stomp until I hear that piercing sound. And thankfully, Big Boy Bayle turns into one large iceberg with a last minute frost proc. Heading back to the Cathedral of Manus, I go face Mother once more. Hello, Mother? Okay, apparently I'm locked out. I do a cheesy quit out and try again. And voila, I'm in. Hello, Mother. Ouch, and Mother, no! At least I can tank her now. Oh wait, never mind.
Eventually.
Why is she such a pain? I see my window and I charge in with 2 good stomps. And Mother is no more. Last 2 bosses to go. So let's go back to Midra. Killing the screaming madman flawlessly, then facing the flames. Things were going great. I was doing some damage and my dodges were on point. However, one missed roll was all it took to end that great run. I won't be stopped. I keep trying, stomping out his flames. He's almost down, I stomp, and he punishes me for healing. But with 2 final stomps, I punish him for existing, and his flame fizzles out. 1 boss left to finish off the challenge, so let's set this tree ablaze, and begin our final journey. Entering Inner Limb, I run past all these enemies, bobbing and weaving, trying to get away. Some sneaking past the Divine Beast Warrior, time to enter the sand pit. I rush at Hornset, but he's playing dirty, and my blood spatters all over the sand. I back up to heal, charge a couple of stomps, and he goes down. Dryleaf comes rushing at me, so I charge up some stomps, hoping Leda takes her sweet time. Unfortunately, she does not, and I suddenly have to deal with both of them. As long as they both run at me together, they'll both take the hit. A couple more stomps take Dryleaf out. And then there was one. My FP does run out at some point, so it becomes a bunch of running around till it regens. Finding that a bit too cowardly, she swiftly ends me. Okay, let's try that again. Never mind, let's not. Stomping at Hornset, I manage to get a free spot, Dryleaf spawns in, and I run around the arena, trying to align them to hit both of them with 1 stomp. I take a hit, but at last I take out Hornset. Dryleaf was almost down too, but he healed, and Leda spawns in. Once again, I run around to get them grouped up, then I stomp. I'm out of FP, time to run again. Why is she taking her sweet time? She doesn't do that when spawning in. I'm locked in. They're both running at me. I stomped. And it's the most beautiful simultaneous kill I've ever accomplished, as I stand between them and they both collapse. Switching to the Spellblade armor to see how I fare, I enter to face the final boss, Radahn. I do decent damage, and with this armor I'm light loaded, so I can roll pretty easily. But when his hits land, they hit like a truck. He's down to half health, and he phase changes, killing me when he levitates. But hey, I got him to second phase, so that's good, right? Switching back to Rakshaka's armor.
Much later.
And switching to the Hoarfrost Stomp to test out the wave damage. And yeah, this one seems to be doing much better, especially with the residual damage since he stays in it a bit longer. But it still wasn't doing enough. 40 deaths deep, I was starting to lose my mind. So I head to Skadu View to collect the Golden Braid Tally. This will boost damage ignition by 22% for holy damage, meaning I will be able to tank some more damage. For the first time I can see the finish line. Till he yoinked it right out of my sight, but I saw it, so I keep trying. I'm out of flasks, but I can practically hear the victory bells. But there's still a whole entire minute left. Yeah, about that. there. Do you hear that? That's the joy leaving my body.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Big boy goes in for a hug, and I'm mesmerized. He shoots up into the sky and I flee, determined to bring this to an end. I switch between frantic stomps and chugging down flasks. And with one final stomp, as he's going in for an attack, the god is finally slain. Yes! And there you go. That is how I managed to beat the Elden Ring DLC, using only my stomps. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section down below. You can catch me live on Twitch, link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Doodles. YouTube's recommending this video now, so be sure to check that out. And click here to subscribe, so you don't miss out on any of my uploads.